The Middle Eastern night sky is illuminated by a blinding fireball. The world's most advanced electro-optical targeting system on an F-35 Lightning II confirms the target has been obliterated. The data streams directly into the pilot's $400,000 augmented reality helmet, confirming a perfect kill mark. But as the explosion fades, strategic planners at the Pentagon feel a chill run down their spines. They don't see a victory. They see an economic equation bleeding out. Imagine an aerial intercept scenario. A sleek F-35 stealth superfighter locks onto a target and launches an AIM-9X Sidewinder air-to-air missile valued at roughly $420,000. The target that was just blown out of the sky is merely a Shahed 136 suicide drone made of cheap components with a factory cost of a mere $30,000. Tactically, it is a successful intercept. Logistically, however, it is a severe waste of kinetic energy and a budget disaster. The world's #1 military superpower cannot drain its expensive missile reserves on an asymmetric war, especially when operating an F-35 chews up between $40,000 and $45,000 for every flight hour. To solve this financial paradox, the Pentagon didn't look to sci-fi technologies. They called upon an ugly, slow-moving, mud-moving brute with a 50-year-old design. A platform with a highly optimized operating cost, roughly $20,000 per flight hour. That is the A-10 Thunderbolt II, or, as the infantry and Marines on the ground call it with a slang term steeped in gunpowder and awe, the Warthog. For years, media and military forums have continuously churned out saturated clickbait headlines, fabricating stories about the birth of unmanned or autonomously piloted Super A-10s. But the engineering truth is often far more ruthless and dry. There is absolutely no newly manufactured Super A-10 airframe. What the U.S. Air Force actually did was spend billions of dollars to replace the wings, extending the physical lifespan to the 16,000 flight hour mark and cramming electronic warfare systems into an aging chassis. To execute this historic resurrection, the Pentagon had to knock on Boeing's door. The enhanced wing assembly project was not aimed at making the A-10 fly further or faster, but to save it from an invisible enemy: metal fatigue. Decades of diving toward the ground and absorbing the terrifying multi-ton recoil of its 30mm cannon had caused the original airframes of the Warthogs to crack to an alarming degree. Boeing completely rebuilt the center and outer wing boxes using monolithic alloy materials and redesigned the hydraulic routing system. These new wings act as a circulatory transfusion system, officially doubling the airframe lifespan from 8,000 to the 16,000 flight hour mark. It ensures these aircraft can continue lugging ordnance and churning up the battlefield until the late 2030s without fear of snapping a wing in mid-air. Yet strong muscle is meaningless without a sharp nervous system. Stepping inside the cockpit, the modern era's A-10C is no longer the blind analog machine of the 70s. The upgrade effort, codenamed Precision Engagement, completely overhauled the control deck. The tangled mechanical instrument clusters have been ripped out, making way for full-color digital multifunction displays. The heart of this new electronic system lies in the integration of the Link 16 data link protocol, and most notably, the Scorpion helmet-mounted queuing system. Now, instead of hunching over a control panel, the A-10 pilot simply turns their head to look and lock onto targets right in their line of sight via the augmented reality display on the visor. The data link system allows the A-10 to see exactly the coordinates that MQ-9 Reaper drones or F-35 fighters are seeing in the air. It turns a slow-flying machine into a smart firepower node in the 21st century combat network. And when that firepower node is activated, the battle space completely transforms. Putting this Warthog on the autopsy table, based on the latest combat dossiers as of early 2026, we see a stark picture. Unlike fifth-generation fighters like the F-35, designed around stealth and supersonic aerodynamics to evade radar, the A-10 Thunderbolt II was built on an entirely different survival philosophy. Accept getting hit and figure out how to survive it. When you are tasked with close air support, flying low and slow to observe the battlefield, you cannot be stealthy to the naked eye. You must face the enemy's anti-aircraft fire net head-on. Instead of sitting in a fragile aluminum or composite cockpit, the A-10 pilot is protected by a monolithic armored structure called the titanium bathtub. This armor is 1.5 inches thick and weighs over half a ton. Using titanium instead of steel is an expensive but vital decision, because this metal is incredibly difficult to machine, requiring bending and welding in a completely inert gas environment. But it provides the hardness of high-strength steel while being 40% lighter. It is calculated to withstand strikes from high-explosive fragmentation and armor-piercing 23mm rounds, the standard firepower of anti-aircraft artillery systems like the ZSU-23-4 Shilka, firing point-blank. The mechanical redundancy of this aircraft is also an exception in aviation design. The plane possesses a dual hydraulic system. If both of these hydraulic systems are shredded by enemy fire, the pilot can still fly the aircraft through a tangled system of cables operating entirely via manual mechanical reversion. The brutal reality of the battlefield has proven it. An A-10 can continue to fly and land safely, even missing an engine, half its tail, half a wing, and an entire elevator. If you look at a cross-section blueprint, you'll see the twin TF-34 GE100 turbofan engines are not buried in the fuselage or slung under the wings like a conventional aircraft, but are mounted high up near the tail. This is a deliberate design. Placing the engines here utilizes the massive horizontal stabilizers as a physical shield, masking the infrared heat signature radiating from the exhaust nozzles from the cross-anti-aircraft missiles launched from the ground. The heart and the entire reason for this airframe's existence is the 30mm GAU-8A Avenger rotary cannon. This gun is so massive that it occupies more than half the space in the nose of the aircraft, forcing the front landing gear to be offset to the right to make room for the barrel cluster. With a firing rate locked in at 3,900 rounds per minute, utilizing depleted uranium armor-piercing incendiary rounds, it can tear through the thin roof armor and engine compartments of main battle tanks like the T-62 and M-48 in steep dives from roughly 4,000 feet away. However, the media often ignores a crucial historical truth. The GAU-8 is indeed a nightmare, but for the A-10 to become the greatest tank killer of the 1991 Gulf War, the bulk of the credit does not belong to the 30mm rounds. Declassified data analysis indicates that the vast majority of enemy tanks destroyed were thanks to the AGM-65 Maverick air-to-ground missiles carried by the A-10. The 30mm cannon is the soul and the symbol of this design, but the missiles under the wings are the true claws that shredded enemy armor formations. Even so, this devastating mechanical power and method of engagement birthed a fatal blind spot. The core issue lies in the extreme nature of the close air support mission, starting with the ballistic risk when the GAU-8 creates a bullet dispersion circle roughly 40 feet in diameter on the ground. Its destructive power is terrifying, but in danger-close situations, where the line between friendly troops and the enemy is separated by mere dozens of yards, the lack of the static, scalpel-like precision of a laser-guided bomb easily creates friendly fire tragedies. The second risk comes from the fog of war. The tragedy at the Battle of Khafji during Operation Desert Storm is a bloody testament, where navigational confusion amidst thick smoke caused an A-10 to lock onto the wrong target and fire an AGM-65 Maverick straight into a U.S. Marine Corps LAV-25 armored vehicle, tearing it apart. Yet, if you toss out the statistics sheets and ask the infantrymen directly holding the rifles, from paratroopers and Marines to Army Rangers, their perspective is entirely the opposite. Despite the high risk of stray rounds in danger-close situations, they still crave the appearance of this Warthog. The reason doesn't lie in precision, but in the overwhelming psychological power based on a fundamental law of physics: the speed of sound. The velocity of a 30mm round travels faster than the speed of sound. This means the enemy formation on the ground will be completely shredded before they even hear the brrrt roar echoing down from the sky. To the adversary, that sound is an intensely powerful weapon that eradicates the will to fight. To American soldiers pinned down under enemy fire, a flying fortress capable of loitering overhead for hours, creating a continuous, menacing presence, is a shot of morale that fast movers like the F-16 or F-35 blowing past can never provide. Looking solely at the basic specs, the A-10 is an incredibly vulnerable target in modern warfare. With a sluggish top speed of only 460 miles per hour and a massive radar cross-section, it was never designed to fly solo into a deadly anti-aircraft net. Facing advanced air defense systems like the S-300, S-400, or the threat of multi-role fighters like the Su-35 in contested airspace, this aircraft would quickly become target practice. However, for a lumbering flying fortress like the A-10 to survive and roar in the skies of the missile era, it cannot operate alone. The U.S. military never throws the A-10 blindly into the battle space. They employ a decentralized, combined arms operational art called the kicking down the door tactic, a ruthless path-clearing art perfectly demonstrated during Operation Epic Fury in Iran. In the early hours of February 28, 2026, when the U.S. and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury, targeting the missile and UAV networks of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the A-10 squadrons did not fly in first. In the first 24 hours, the stealth vanguard of F-35 Lightning IIs and EA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft moved in to break the early warning radar systems and execute the suppression of enemy air defenses, SEAD. Bombers unleashed dozens of ADM-160 MALD electronic decoy missiles, twisting and turning through the air, broadcasting simulated radar signatures of heavy B-52 bombers to trick the adversary into exhausting their anti-aircraft interceptors. The moment ground radar stations lit up to lock on, the EA-18G Growler would use its ALQ-249 jamming pods to white out their screens, while the stealthy F-35 assassins instantly fired AGM-88 GAAR-GMER high-speed anti-radiation missiles, plunging down to punch through and crush the emitters. Only when the sky had been swept clean and transitioned to a permissive environment were the Warthogs let off the leash. Continuously refueled by KC-135 tankers, the A-10 maintains a medium flight ceiling of 15,000 to 22,000 feet to avoid shoulder-fired man-pads, patrolling for hours hunting down hiding mobile ballistic missile launchers. The biggest surprise from the A-10 in 2026 isn't its bombing runs, but how it solves a problem of asymmetric economics. The adversary uses Shahed 136 suicide UAVs, costing a mere $30,000 apiece. Using a stealth fighter to launch a $420,000 AIM-9X missile or a $4 million Patriot Interceptor is a tactical victory, but a meaningless money-burning black hole. The U.S. Air Force's solution, clamping a $15,000 laser guidance module onto a cheap 70mm rocket, creating the APKWS II weapon system with a total cost ranging from just $25,000 to $40,000. Surprisingly, the A-10's sluggish speed now becomes an absolute advantage, allowing it to loiter in the air for extended periods to hunt, something F-16s or F-35s flying too fast simply cannot do. These sluggish suicide drones fly at speeds below 115 miles per hour. If using modern superfighters, the pilot would have to push the angle of attack to extremely fuel-inefficient levels, or face the risk of an aerodynamic stall and dropping out of the sky if they try to brake and ride the drone's tail. While the Warthog also cannot fly slower than 115 miles per hour without falling, its massive straight wings solve this problem in a different way. It gives the A-10 an exceptionally tight turn radius, allowing it to leisurely circle and track the drone swarm in tight airspace without overshooting them too quickly. A single A-10 carries 4 LAU-131 rocket pods, holding a total of 28 APKWS rockets. With the ability to loiter on station for 2 hours, the Warthog transforms into an iron dome on wings, a crop duster clearing the sky of deadly mechanical flies at an ultra-cheap cost. In late 2025, A-10 tail number 790084, call sign Ares from the Idaho Air National Guard, landed back at base with 2 Shahed UAV kill marks stenciled on its nose. The 50-year-old platform built to kill Soviet tanks officially morphed into the low-altitude air defense assassin of the 21st century. This battlefield success still cannot hide the fierce internal war in Washington. The top brass of the U.S. Air Force are sick and tired of maintaining the spare parts supply chain for this aging block of metal. In the fiscal year 2026 budget draft, the USAF submitted a request to immediately retire the entire remaining fleet of 162 A-10s to funnel billions of dollars into the 6th-generation fighter program. But lawmakers disagreed. Through the National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA, the U.S. Congress erected a legal shield, forbidding the USAF from cutting the A-10 fleet below the 103 aircraft mark. This decision was driven by an economic truth. As long as the infantry needs fire support, the A-10's $20,000 per flight hour operating cost remains an undeniable strategic bargain compared to modern fighters. Even so, the true end of the Warthog will not come from old age, but from the very evolution of U.S.-created technology. The emergence of the Lucas unmanned system, a clone of the Shahed series costing only $35,000, carrying a roughly 40-pound warhead, and featuring AI algorithm swarm communication capabilities, is proving a point. Dirt-cheap, single-use unmanned flying machines can absolutely handle ground-sweeping missions effectively. When drones can replace human labor, the justification for maintaining a manned flying squadron with expensive logistics will gradually crumble. Looking back at half a century of history, the very existence of the A-10 Thunderbolt II in 2026 is a paradox in itself. It is the most brutal physical intersection between two schools of thought. The clean war doctrine pursuing the sterile, absolute precision of digital technology, and the chaotic war doctrine, accepting the brutality and risk of stray rounds in exchange for kinetic power and psychological warfare effects. A crude, slow machine that has faced tragedies of bloody friendly fire on the battlefield. But it is also the flexible platform that spectacularly shed its skin, from using Maverick missiles to crush tanks in 1991 to using laser-guided rockets to hunt swarms of suicide UAVs in the Middle Eastern skies in 2026. It is the embodiment of an immortal law of mechanics. Sometimes, a machine designed with minimalist, brutal, rugged simplicity, focused on the most basic function, has greater adaptability and a longer lifespan than complex microchip supercomputers. The A-10 proves that in modern warfare, legacy weapons can still dictate the outcome if placed correctly within a sophisticated combat network. And as long as the infantrymen on the ground still crave the wind-tearing roar of the 30mm cannon as their ultimate shield, this aircraft cannot be erased. Which lens do you look through in this doctrinal war? Should we accept the risk and continue to maintain the overwhelming psychological power of the A-10 to support the infantry? Or is it time to retire it and hand the sky over entirely to the sterile era of cheap, AI-controlled drone swarms? Leave your perspective in the comments section. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel to continue dissecting the military machines that changed history. See you in the next dossier.